call Wealth Builders making sense of making money for making a difference. Making sense of making money for making a difference. And so when we look at God's purpose of wealth, or for wealth, Deuteronomy chapter 8 says, "Then you say in your heart, my power and the might of my hand have gained me this wealth." And then verse 18 says, "But you shall remember the Lord your God, for it is He who gives you the power to get wealth, that He may establish His covenant, which He swore to your fathers as it is this day." And last night during the conversation with Paul and myself and Lance and Gregory, who's come with him, Gregory said something good. He said, the word "to get" is really proactive. It means God gives us the power. We can't just sit back and be lazy. We've got to go get it. Today, what I want to do is paint a picture for you of wealth and how it works. And I want to talk for just a minute. We're going to go quite a few places, so we're just going to get started today. But I want to put up a slide that some of you who've heard me speak, we call the triple X factor. So let's go to that, and it should be on the screen. And for those of you, some of you in here have never ever seen this ever, and so I'm going to take a moment to kind of draw it out, and then we're going to move forward. What I've always liked to see, and I mentioned this last night as well, is anytime you hear someone talk about wealth building, either inside of a good, healthy kingdom context or out in the secular world, anytime you hear anybody talk about wealth building or they talk about business, in other words, different aspects of business, how to grow a business or investing in real estate, whatever it is, we talk about the different aspects, and so you hear bits and pieces. One of the things we do in the business school is we are structuring the curriculum so that we're giving the entire perspective. Now, the reason I say this is because sometimes we'll go hear something, so you'll hear a Dave Ramsey deal, which I'm going to show you in a second, and you put that in a certain part of where you think it fits. And then you go hear somebody else teach on making money, and you put that. And then you hear somebody else teach on building a business, and you put it there. What I want to do is try to give you a kind of a high-level, 30,000-foot view of how this will come together. And one of the things I like to say, it's how some people touch an elephant when they're talking about business or wealth. It's how some people touch an elephant when we're talking about business or wealth. They go up and they touch the trunk of the elephant, and they say, "Oh, wealth is like a hose," or "the elephant is like a hose." They go up and they touch the tail of the elephant, and they say, "Oh, the elephant is like a rope." Or they go up and they touch the side of the elephant, and they say, "Oh, an elephant is like a wall." Well, no, an elephant is all three. And what you need to have is a perspective that when you touch the trunk of an elephant is just not the trunk or the hose. And neither is wealth building or building businesses or creating businesses. It's not just those things. And so one of the things that I hope this does, Bob McInstock, Bob, where are you today? You're in here, right there in front of me. Oh, man, you got in the middle seat. How'd you do that? That's a good seat. Like in a theater, you're looking right here. And so I tell a story in my book, which I'll talk about in a second, on money mastery, and some of you have heard this, but I saw also Jeff Ray. Jeff, where are you? I know you back there, right there. Jeff played baseball for Oral Roberts University, and I played baseball for Oral Roberts University, but I'm quite a bit older than Jeff in those days. But some of you might have heard this, but I went to Oral Roberts University on a baseball scholarship back in 1974. Now, if you look me up in the yearbook, I won't be in there, because let me tell you the story. I signed what they call a scholarship for 1 year, and I signed what they called in those days, I was a big scholarship kid. I signed about a 70% ride to go to ORU as a left-handed pitcher. Well, when I went for from August to December, and then I came home, and my wife and I, now been married 41 years, going on 42, I left in December. I left ORU, and I went home and got married. So here we are now. So my baseball career at ORU ended. While I was there, though, our head coach was named Dallas Green, and our pitching coach was named Rich Kalmus. And I got out. Some of you have heard me tell this story, but I got up and they brought me up. I was from South Texas, and back in those days, we hit baseballs with wooden bats in college, not metal bats. And so I got up on the mound, and they put me out there against another big scholarship kid, freshman, who was a catcher. His name was Greg Skaggs. And so I got up there, and I reared back, and I threw the first pitch, threw the second pitch. I can't even lift my leg up anymore. But anyway, I threw the pitch. And on the third pitch with a wooden bat, true story, he hit a baseball 410 over the 410 feet sign in the humidity of Tulsa with a wooden bat. And I said to myself, Toto, you ain't in Kansas no more. I'm telling you, I had never seen a ball hit that far, that powerful in my entire life. Rich Kalmus came out to me, the pitching coach who played 6 years for the LA Dodgers. He came out to me and he said, Epperhart, we're going to give you a new pitch. Your fastball is not going to make it here. You're going to have to set up the fastball. And so he taught me how to throw a slider. It's called a slider for baseball fans, not a curveball, but a slider. And he taught me how to throw a slider. And so I remember I went out and we played Oklahoma Baptist. And I was pitching, and they brought me out in the second inning. And I remember I got up there and did my little pitching thing. And the first three batters just hit ropes. I mean, literally hit the ball as hard as you could hit it, and the bases ended up being loaded with no outs. And Kalmus did something. He walked out to the mound, and now in high school, if this was in high school and this had happened to me, in high school what would have happened was the coach would have come out and said, Epperhart, throw harder. True story. I mean, that's what he'd have said. Or he'd have said, Epperhart, keep the ball down, or he'd say something like that. But Kalmus came out and he said, show me your slider. Nobody in the stands knew what he told me. Even the head coach sitting on the bench didn't know. And I put it up, and he reached up from this side, and he reached and grabbed the baseball, and he turned the baseball 1/8 of an inch. He turned the seam, instead of my middle finger being on the left side, if you know how to throw or know something about a slider, instead of being on the left side of the seam, he turned it to the top part of the seam. True story, the next three batters, I struck them out. Wow. Now, that's all he said. He turned around, walked off, went back in the dugout. He didn't say throw harder, do better, come on, can't you do better? He just simply came up and gave me a 1/8 of an inch adjustment that made all the difference in the world in my ability to pitch. What most of us need in our lives as we start talking about this today, hearing Lance do such a fabulous job and Paul doing a fabulous job, and you're hearing those things, the workshops are going to be great. Most of us need that 1/8 of an inch adjustment just to get in alignment, and then we start seeing the things happen that we need to see happen in our lives.